Ted Segal, majority owner of Houston Dynamo. Ted, first of all, how are you today?
Doing great. Excited for an exciting round of 16 match here in the CONCACAF Cup, and very excited to be here on a beautiful night here in Houston.
When you sit here and you look out at this whole, I call it a yacht, and then basically you're the captain of this yacht. How does that make you feel, knowing that you're in charge of this big boat?
Look, I'm not the captain. First of all, look, we have CEO and Jessica O'Neill who's steering the ship. And then on the sporting side, we have Pat Onstad and Alex Singer, and then the coaching staffs. And so I'm far from the captain, but I'm very proud to be a part of this and to lend a hand. And what I'm very pleased with is the progress we've made if you look around the stadium over the last 3 years, because there isn't a segment of this stadium, from the seats to the different new sections that we have, to the East Club that we're sitting in, to the field side seats that we added this year, to the new food offerings that we haven't put our fingerprints on in just under 3 years of being here.
Every seat is the best seat, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's no bad seat in the stadium. That's
now,
for sure.
When you get approached about this project with Houston Dynamo, and I mean, you had the option surely to, if you wanted to spend that kind of money, you could have gone with an NHL team. There's a few NHL teams that are worth about the same as a Houston Dynamo. Why soccer? Why Dynamo? Why Houston?
Well, first I'll just say it's not just the Dynamo, it's the Dash. Right. And so you have two incredible clubs who are the destination for top-flight soccer in the fourth, soon-to-be third biggest city in the country, that has a proven track record of supporting the sport here in the city. With the World Cup on the horizon, men's for sure, hopefully the women's as well. And so it made all the sense in the world that you have a passionate fan base, passionate for soccer, huge, growing, diverse city, that we can make the most of this opportunity.
Taking over the organization, both teams, when you take over, what was the first order of business? What was the state of the project when you first took over?
Well, I think what you saw is clubs that had a history of not succeeding consistently on the pitch. And so first and foremost, this is a soccer club, two soccer clubs that if you're getting into this, you want to be winning. And so our mission from the beginning, and we didn't nail it from the start, is to have consistent contenders for championships on both the Dynamo and the Dash side. I'm pleased to say in our second full season, we won a U.S. Open Cup. In our first full season, we had the Dash make the playoffs. The Dynamo as well last year made it to the Final Four of the MLS. And so that's the priority for us, and certainly for our fans. They don't care about a lot of the other stuff.
How much did that raise the bar for your team? Looking at it from the outside and from the inside, surely getting to the U.S. Open Cup and winning it, that had to raise the bar for expectations, especially coming into this new season.
Yeah, look, with winning, there's a privilege of having more opportunities, and the reason we're sitting here tonight is because we're playing in CONCACAF, and so we have a busy schedule, and credit to Ben and Pat for managing through it, but it's a privilege to be able to play in what looks like 4 competitions here.
What are the talks? I mean, Dynamo is the only team playing in all 4 competitions, and you also have a team with a few players out due to injury, different situations. How are you and Pat navigating this part of the season right now?
Well, it's really Pat navigating it in conjunction with Ben, and credit to both of them. First of all, for Pat, working with Ben and Asher Mendelson to create a roster that has sufficient depth to withstand the barrage of competitions that you have to go through, especially early on in this season. On top of that, credit to Ben for managing and rotating players. And then lastly, it's the guys on the pitch. And so you've seen, and Ben has identified this in a lot of his press conferences this year, how pleased he is that we've had guys who maybe didn't have the minutes or the opportunity to get minutes last year, people like Sebastian Kowalczyk, people like Brooklyn Raines, Tate Schmidt, who's coming back from an injury, really stepping up and providing valuable minutes for our club and making us competitive.
So you really do let Pat do his work. You let them do their magic.
I said it from day one in my introductory press conference. I'm never going to be the man who's picking the 11 guys who are taking the pitch. I'm going to leave that to guys who really know how to do that.
What do you say to fans that that kind of expect you to spend more money on players, spend more money on strikers, spend more money on this, spend money on that. How does that, as a businessman, how does that make sense to you?
Well, it first of all, it does have to make sense, and we do have a budget, and I'll say a few things on that. Number one, I think if you look at our historic spend over the last several years in comparison to our predecessors, our multiple predecessors, our spend is materially higher than our predecessors. On top of that, I think that we've demonstrated through signings like Hector Herrera that we're willing to spend if it makes sense and will benefit our club. And I don't think anybody can argue that the signing of Herrera benefited our club. And so we're going to continue to spend where it makes sense and can be an enhancement to our club. That said, that's not the only way to build a winning roster, and credit to Pat and Asher and Ben for identifying players who span the salary ladder, who are providing meaningful minutes and contributing to the success of our team.
What are the talks right now with the MLS as far as adding to the designated players or raising the salary cap and all of that?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of those discussions. We do have our next Board of Governors meeting next month, and I'm sure we'll get updates. And I think as we get updates, it doesn't take long for you guys to get updates as well.
Does it make you excited to know that certain things in the league, like bringing Lionel Messi, is making the league grow substantially?
It's absolutely a boon for our league to bring the best player in the world, and then many of his former teammates who are highly accomplished to our league. It brings attention to our league. It brings quality to our league. We did it in our own way with bringing Hector to the league. And I think it raises the bar from a competitive standpoint for all owners to think about how they're constructing rosters, and there's multiple ways to go about it. But I think, as you've seen here in Houston, that one segment of how we're going to construct rosters is bringing in valuable players who can contribute and have a track record of success outside of MLS.
Now, I can't help but maybe not compare, but at least look at both Liga MX and MLS. It seems like all the teams in MLS work together, for the betterment of the league. While in Mexico, every individual group has their own interests. Is that a conversation that, as owners, you guys talk about, and how much you benefit the league as a whole?
It definitely is, and I think what's encouraging about our collective ownership is that we're invested in this together. We cheer off the pitch for everybody's success as a business, and we're kind of rowing in the same direction. I will say, and I will give credit to Liga MX as partners with us on the League's Cup, that they joined together to participate in that with us. So it's not entirely individual clubs working out of self-interest at all times.
You realize that if things go a certain way, this Champions Cup is going to look very similar to a League's Cup with just MLS teams.
We understand that it can go a certain way. I don't know that based on yesterday's results, it's going to necessarily go in that direction. But we'll see how these things proceed and progress, starting tonight for us against Columbus.
Well, Ted, obviously we wish you the best of success, for not just for yourself, for the team, for the management, for the staff, for everybody else. Any message that you really like Dynamo fans to know coming into this tournament and the rest of the league?
Yeah, look, we have a highly competitive squad. We feel good about our chances and the opportunity that we have here in CONCACAF, in the MLS regular season, the other competitions that we're in. And I'll say for our folks who haven't been to the stadium recently or never been, you got to come out because the experience is second to none. And I think once they come one time, they'll keep coming back.
They'll be hooked.
Yep.
Thank you, Ted.
All right. Thank you.